Here on Black Girls Inc. Hey everybody, welcome to Black Girls Inc. I'm your girl, Sister Goose. Sugar Mama's not with us today, so please keep her in your prayers. She's not feeling well. But we're still going to do our show. I'm so excited about our guest. She's already a Black Girls Inc. member. It's my girl, Sparkle.
Hi. Hi, good night,
Hey.
good evening, good morning, or good day to whoever is watching the video and at whatever time they are watching it. So, hi, nice to see you. Nice to talk to you again.
Yes. Look, Sparkle. I
Mm.
gotta give you a personal thank you live in front of everybody to let them know you just proved what a real friend is because I needed to fill in and you did it right on the spot. So I really appreciate you. Snaps to you, Sparkle.
I am glad to even be able to do it.
Yes, I
Mm.
appreciate you. I really, really do. So you already know how we do. Let's jump right into it.
Okay, give me 2 seconds. 2 seconds
Okay.
because my charger decided to unplug itself. This is what happens when you try to do things. There we go. And it unplugged again. Okay, let's turn this the other way.
Go ahead, take your time. Take your
If
time.
you
Let's go.
All right. Let's pray and hope that's the last of that. Okay, hi.
Hey, so
I'm so sorry. So because I was willing to do it last minute, I did not realize that we were doing it. So my phone was not charged. So I am very sorry.
you are fine. You are fine. I appreciate you even able to do it.
I am
So
glad to do it.
can you please tell everyone the title of your new book that's coming out
All
and let them
right.
know what it's about?
It's a mouthful. The book is called TUTULBAY, and it is a colloquial word from Trinidad that means to be foolish for love, to be besotted with someone, to be so in love that you are making foolish decisions. So the title of the book is really indigenous to Trinidad, and that's why it's called TUTULBAY.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I told you this before, and I'm gonna say it again for people who have not listened to your interview on our podcast. I love how different you are.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you.
Because you, like you said, you're from Trinidad.
Mhm.
The type of books you write, you're introducing us to new language.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm loving that word total bag. Okay. I love
Thank you very
I'm
much.
I'm gonna say it to my boo like it's a fresh word. He don't know what it means. Be like, you my toto bag. Like
Yes, tell him he's your total bae.
right?
One of
I'm
the
gonna be
great
using
things
it.
one of the great things about like colloquial words and Trinidadian words is that they're all fun words to say. And I thought, I could name the book anything. I could name the book Love Fool, but Tuttle Bay is just so much more interesting to say, and it kind of sticks with you. And also, it just kind of harkens back to where I come from and why I write. And it's just kind of full circle experience. And so I was really excited to see where that story would take me just by even finding the name of the book.
Okay, I love that. So tell me like a little bit more about the book. Like what
Okay,
can
the
we
nitty gritty,
expect?
the nitty gritty, the sexy. So I've been writing now for 10 years. This is my 10-year anniversary of being published as a published author. And I really, really love and relationships. And I thought that the best way to kind of like articulate relationships through writing is to write erotic stories because then you can go as deep as the relationship goes. You can find out everything that makes this relationship tick. But I had already written 2 books that were about, sweeping love or falling in love with the right man at the wrong time, the regular tropes that we are accustomed to. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, if I'm going to keep writing erotica, it's not going to be the same story every time, or else you're not going to want to read it. It has to
Right.
have something else that brings you back, and it has to be a good story. And so I thought about, all of the craziness of dating now. Like I haven't been dating in a long time, right? I mean, of course you're gonna date the person you're with, but I haven't been on the scene for a long time, and a lot of my single friends are on, Match.com, or they're trying to find the internet dating world, or they're going on blind dates with people who their friends are setting them up with. And I thought
Mm-hmm.
about what that world would have been like, and I realized there's so much danger in that too. Like, you don't know what you're gonna get. If you see somebody walking down the road and you're not interested in them, you could just say, I have a boyfriend, and that pretty much ends the conversation if the person is a kind of upstanding kind of man, you know what I mean? But
Depends.
depending, if he's an upstanding kind of man, if he's kind of a little low down dirty, he'd be like, I don't care about your man. He don't know about me. He don't gotta know about me, right? But that might not necessarily be the kind of man you would want to date. And early you could know what kind of man he is. Whereas with online dating, people set up a whole idea of who they are, and there's certain perils in that. So with the book, I wanted to tell a story about a woman who had probably put way too much of her personal information on social media. She, four squares wherever she goes. Every event is something to tell the world about. She lives her life kind of open to the world and everybody could know her business. But then if a man is attracted to you, there doesn't really take that much mystique for him to find out more about you if everything is already there. And so
Mm-hmm.
Maya is that girl. She's the girl who is desperate to fall in love and wants love, but she pretty much puts herself in the worst situations with men. And her very best friend, Rachel, is the complete opposite of this. Rachel is committed to one man and has been with that one man forever, and their relationship is strong and stable. And Maya wants
Mm-hmm.
that for herself, but she can't seem to grasp it. So we have these two women at the beginning of the book, one who's planning a wedding and one who can't seem to get a guy to come to the wedding with, and they're very best friends. And
Mm.
it's difficult for Maya because she's looking at Rachel's happiness and wants that for herself, and she's extremely jealous of this happiness because the guy that she would have been with, the guy that she considers to be her paramour, is not a committed type guy. And he's done terrible things to her in the past. And no, she's just kind of in the wind hoping to find someone. And then enters Lucky, a guy who seems like if he knows everything that there is to know about her, is obsessed with her and is willing to really charm the pants off of her for the first time in her life. And she falls for that, like anybody else will, except he's done his homework on her. And because he spent so much time trying to get her, he has no intention of ever letting her go.
Oh wow. It's about to go down in that book.
It's
That
about
sounds
to
so
go
good.
down.
I love,
Mhm.
look, let me touch on the base of what you said about the two friends.
Yeah.
I love that you made it where the one's friend getting married, and it's not that she's really jealous of her friend, but she's jealous of what she has
Hmm.
because that's real. I need
Hmm.
to say it that way because sometimes people be wording it wrong. When women feel that way, we're not jealous of our friend.
Hmm.
We're just jealous of what they had
Hmm. Hmm.
because
Hmm.
it makes you reflect on yourself. Like, I
Hmm.
want that too. Why can't I
Right.
have that? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Hmm.
And I think that's so real. And I don't mean that you're a bad friend and you're still
No,
not
I
a
mean,
good
it's
supportive
human.
friend.
It's human. It's how we learn to want to be in relationships because we look at our parents together and we want that when we grow up. It's part of how we find out what life is supposed to be about and what gives us joy. But for Maya, certainly it becomes a cautionary tale because she puts so much of herself out there that she kind of attracts the attention of a man who may not necessarily be, you know, um, the best man for her. But it depends on what you think and what your values are, because the book kind of shows you both sides of that as well. Like, to what extent is a person being obsessive over you a good or bad thing?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I feel you on that. I'm already excited about your book. I can't wait to read it because I already read your one book. I
Yeah,
still got a little bit more to
yeah,
go. I'm like
yeah.
halfway through.
I'm so
And
excited.
I love the type of writer you are, Sparkles. Like,
Thank
oh my
you.
goodness, you had a reason to brag and be feeling yourself like you was when I first interviewed you. Like,
I was
cause you're a
extremely proud because, like,
you,
I'm
yes,
not a person that is proud of much other things. Like, I'm so at everything else in my life, but writing I really love. And I feel like as a writer, you get to create a world. You get to be the person that decides where the chair is and how this person's life is lived. And it's such an exhilarating experience. And I may not be sure about a lot of other things in my life, but I know that I was born to be a writer. Definitely.
Mm,
It's something that it never leaves me. And even if I leave it, it comes back and finds me every time.
mm. That is wonderful, girl. You a bomb writer.
Thank,
Keep up,
thank
keep
you
up
very
the good work. I can't wait to read more of your books. I'm a
much.
fan.
Thank you.
I
Wait until we
am.
get to that second side, because the second side of the book is all the male side of the book. We're talking about Mocha, right? And in the second half of Mocha, it's all the male's point of view. So
I
women
know.
are
I'm
always
almost there.
curious
I'm
about
almost
how men.
there. That's what.
Women are always curious about how men think and what they perceive the relationship like, and so you get to see that in Mocha. You get to see her point of view on the relationship, and then his point of view of the exact same relationship, and to what extent two people have the same experience even in the same relationship.
Yes,
Hmm.
and that's why I love your writing. And I don't want to get too much into it for those who haven't read it yet. So, what do you want readers to take away from your book after they read Total Bay?
Um, for me, for Total Bay, like I really wanted two things to be true at the same time. That a person could be bad for you in
Hmm.
every way that society could imagine. Like he goes after you in the wrong way. He has a checkered past. He might be too good to be true. He might have done horrible things, and yet is his love for you any less valid? I wanted to have those two things kind of play off each other the whole time that I was working on the book. Because there are
Yes.
women who are married to and in love with and having children by incarcerated men, right? There are women
Hmm.
who are with men who have been married for 40 years to somebody else. There are women who are out there in relationships with men who beat them, who mistreat them, and you cannot tell them that they're not in love. They
Yeah.
will challenge you, and even if it is toxic love, they still believe that this is the man for them. And while I don't celebrate women being victimized in any way for any reason, I don't want to tell just the stories that are clean and easy to tell. It's very easy to tell a story about a handsome man and a good looking woman who goes out to dinner and has a wonderful time after that, and they lived happily ever after. But real life is really not made up of a lot of happily ever after. It's made up of a lot of compromises and shifts in what you think your dynamic is. And for the most part, women very seldom end up with the man that they imagined that they would be with when they were 16, 17, 18. I know for a fact the man I ended up with is not what I thought I was going to have. And I certainly felt like in the writing of the story that there was this one part of it where, yes, he's done these horrible, horrible things, but is his love any less valid? And it makes it really kind of come alive for me, and I hope it does for the readers as well when they read it, because I want for people
Yeah.
to see that love can be messy, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not valid.
Mm. Let's give a snap to the realism of your book.
I'll take a
Keep it
snap.
real.
I'll take a snap.
Keep it real. Yes, I love
Mhm,
that because look, it's like the stories, like you said, that has some realness to it, that show the good, the bad, ugly, sad. Them is
mhm,
what people want to read and stuff anyway. We don't want to
mhm,
read about Prince Charming and stuff. That's when we was kids, when we was watching Disney. We done with that. We know what reality is. We didn't
mhm,
had heartbreak now. We want
mhm,
the real deal and the
mhm.
depth of what life really is.
You
So
know,
I totally agree with you on that.
what's really crazy is that, because I write erotica, I've been going through a really hard time because people feel like it's going to be the sketchy erotica that they read when they went into their mother or their grandmother's cupboard, where she's in the stable and she's she's doing strange things with a man who lives on her property. And it's just like people kind of have this expectation of erotica of maybe the last 20 years. And then, the few people who have been exposed to like 50 Shades of Grey have this new, modern version of erotica, which they also don't find that they really identify with because the tropes of that story are very, white Americana tropes, like what
Hmm.
white women or women who are not necessarily of color would require of a man. For me, and I know for a lot of other Black women, like passion is a very important part of their lives. And
Exactly.
I wanted to write a story where the passion continues to drive the narrative, rather than writing a narrative and just speckling in some passion to make it readable or to make it enticing. And so even when they're not having sex, and there is a lot of sex, but when they're not having sex, there is a dynamic connection that carries to the novel as well and keeps it going. So that it doesn't become just about sex, but about this relationship and how it develops to good and bad extents as well.
Yeah. So look, I'm glad you was, you said your book has relations, as I call it in my book, because I'm
Relations.
Christian fiction. So in my book, I don't even say the sex word. I just say, and they had relations.
And they have relations. I like relations. I'll give you a joke. When I was 17 or 18, I had been living in New York for a while, and my dad is very serious minded person. And I came home on vacation back to Trinidad. I had been in college. And my dad says, I don't want you being involved in my house. I said, involved? He goes, yeah, I don't want you getting involved in my house. I'm like, getting involved in what?
Right?
And he goes, you know what I mean. I don't want you and your boys in my house getting involved. I was like, oh, my dad can't say sex. He can't say sex. Like you said, relations. And he couldn't even say relations. He said involved. Do you understand? Like he was just not, he couldn't grasp the idea that his young daughter might at some point have sex. And so, like when you said relations, I was like, yeah, I'm tickled because I know when people are like, I that's just a difficult word for a lot of people,
Mhm.
and it's hard because almost everyone, almost everyone is here because two people had sex. So
Look, even if you ain't there because people had it, they had to do something sexual to give your mom what they need to have you.
well,
I
what
mean,
it
if you
is?
want me to go there, I went there. So,
It's just difficult for some people, and I understand that too. It's a line that I have to be careful with because I don't
yeah,
want to ever alienate anyone or say anything improper that would make anybody upset. And certainly, I always say, like, if my book isn't for you, that's okay. But do recommend it to somebody who you think it might be for because, us self published young Black female authors, we need that chance. We need those opportunities. We do need our voices to be heard so that we can be
yeah,
able to have these bigger companies come in and assist us so that we can get to the next level. And that can only happen if we sell books. So if it's
yeah,
not for you, and I understand that, even if I was writing about astrophysics, it might not be for everybody. And if it isn't, definitely let other people who may be interested know so that I can have a career because it's very important. It's
yeah.
almost as important as reading the book.
Look, I'm a Christian woman. I
Hmm.
read your book. I like
They,
it. You
I'm
have a
very.
good storyline, okay? This is my thing that I
Hmm.
have a problem with people that have a thing against you with your book
Hmm.
is that stop looking at it as a sex book,
Right.
okay?
Hmm.
It has a storyline, it
Hmm.
has meaning in there.
Hmm.
And this is what irked me. Let me sip this because some people ain't gonna like when I say it, but I'm gonna say it because I go hard for Sparkles. This is my girl. This is what irked me about people.
Hmm.
They want to act this way about your book and stuff, right?
Hmm.
But they'll go to the movies and watch movies that have that stuff in. So
That's
what's
true.
the difference? What's the difference between the book and the movie? Because in the book, you're not seeing anything. You got to use your imagination.
Right.
In the
You know,
movie, you're
what I will
seeing it
say
actually
is,
happen.
what I'll say is that for the most part, a lot of people they're terrified of other people knowing what they're into. And I think that in itself is kind of a hurdle to jump, which is why books are so much easier than I think even going to a movie. Because you go to a movie, you're sitting next to other people. You might be 6 feet away, but they're still there,
And you got to
But
go in
if
the
you're at
store to
home
buy it.
reading a book, it's between you and whoever else. It's between you and whoever you invite to your house, whoever you expose the book to. So there shouldn't be so much fear around it. But, fear it is.
I'm just making a point because I just feel like I'm one of them people. I call myself a realistic Christian
Hmm.
because I don't like hypocrites.
Mhm.
That's how I feel. And
Mhm.
I'm saying people can't say that they don't really want to do your book, but you love Denzel Washington. And yes, I'm using him as an example. You
Mhm.
love Halle Berry. I bet y'all watch Hardball. And that's all I'm gonna say. And we know what's in Hardball
You know, I
with
haven't
Halle
seen
Berry.
Hardball, but now you put me on.
I bet
Now
you
you put
watch
me on.
Hardball
I need to watch Hardball because now I'm like, what's Hardball? And why I don't know about it.
with Halle Berry.
Oh, I love hot. What you talking about? Monsters Ball.
Yeah, Monsters Ball. That's what it is. Monsters Ball. I couldn't
Monsters
think of what it is.
Ball.
But still,
Yes.
but you knew what I was talking about.
I knew what you were talking
I
about.
bet they watched that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Denzel Washington, you know some of his movies, but you want to be hypocrite about a book.
You know, I always say this though, like I know that people can't always like everything is not for everybody. Like my mother does not love erotica. She supports me,
Yeah.
but she does not love erotica, right? So everybody has their thing. If I give my mother a Bible, she will love me forever. If I give her a copy of my book, she might be like, "Oh, I'm so proud of you," but that might be as far as it will go because that's just not her thing. And I
Yeah.
appreciate that. But what I always say is, give people a chance. You might be surprised at what you find.
Yeah. Because, like I said, I have nothing against people, like you said, your mother, if she does it that way, I'm fine. I have something against people who
Sorry, I was looking for something.
prejudge
Hmm.
your book. You get
Hmm.
what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But they'll watch movies that have that in it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
There was a friend of mine who recently was telling me, that he really, really wants to support my book, right? Wants to support
Hmm.
my book. And I said, okay. And I said, what does that mean? And he's like, well, if I get a girlfriend, I'll buy her a copy of your book. I'm like, okay. So does that mean that you're not going to be buying a copy of my book? No, I just mean it's for women, right? And I'm like, no, books are for everybody. So there's different ideas. Like people really do believe like when I was coming up, there was these writers, this company called Mills and Boone, and they released a lot of like quick fiction, erotic books. We didn't even know what to call it then, but we knew it
Yeah.
was dirty. You wasn't supposed to have it when you were a teenager. And people kind of like, I guess that's the idea that they expect of the book. And I try to always challenge the story where, yes, there will be sex because it's an erotic novel, but it's not just placed in the book with no reason or no intention. The same way that she might be enjoying dinner or a movie or going on a date and all of the textures and moods of that moment are there, that exists as well in the sex because it is important for you to know that this couple is in love or passionate or needy or yes, horny or interested in each other. You know what I mean?
Or
And then to
using
what
each other.
extent was that?
I said, or using each other.
Or using each other or abusing each other or whatever else can be the story can be told. And the truth is the kind of relationship you have is the kind of sex that you're going to have. If you have a healthy relationship and you love being in that relationship, you're going to have a healthy way of viewing it, and you're going to explain, you're going to not explain it, but you're going to kind of carry it through your sex life. And one of the good things about writing erotic books is that I feel like I've created a dialogue for couples because when they pick up the books, now it's a safe place. You're not talking about yourself. You're talking about the client, the character. You get to remove yourself and say, oh, when that character went through that experience, I found that interesting or I find that titillating. And it allows people to kind of let go a little of this mirror, this mask of pretense that they don't have these interests or wants. And it could be really good for relationships. It could be very helpful to people in love to kind of navigate some of the hardship because the truth is we only know as much as we know. Everything else
Right?
we have to learn, you know?
Yes.
So to whatever extent the book will give you something, I hope that it does.
Yes. So couples, look. If you want a good book to start with for couples, say the name of that book so I don't say it wrong.
Mocha, mocha,
Mocha. Start with
mocha.
Mocha. Ladies,
Yes.
read the beginning. Have your
Uh-huh.
men read the end.
Nope, the other way around. Let the
What?
men read the beginning because the
Okay, I'm
beginning is a
sorry. Wait.
woman's
The
side.
man is reading the woman's point of view.
Right. And let the
Women
women
read
read the
the
ending,
end.
which is the man's point of view.
Yeah, you read the
Yes.
end. Look,
And then
I
everybody
just
could read the last chapter together.
I just read the whole thing with my partner. I ain't even do it
You
that way.
could
We
read the
just
whole
read it.
thing. Ain't nothing wrong with that. If
We
you're
just
in a
read
couple though and you're curious about what the other person will feel or think,
it.
it's
Yes.
so interesting to see how people perceive relationships, especially from the other side. And that was really fun to do as well, to kind of really dig in. And I actually interviewed some of my guy friends, to find out what their relationships were like so that I could be really authentic and telling the male side of the story
Oh,
and more.
that's smart. That
Yeah,
was
because you
that.
don't want to mischaracterize how men experience things too. I think it's really easy for women to say that men have no feelings, but the truth is they're human beings. They have feelings just like all the rest
Right.
of us. It's how they deal with it. So it was interesting and fun to kind of go into Mocha that way and to see like, okay, I have a limited experience of being a man. I'll always be on the outside of that. But to what
Mhm.
extent can I learn and then put that in the book so that it is authentic to him telling his own story?
Okay. Girl, you already know I love your book.
Thank you.
I cannot wait to read your book. Couples, if you're listening, please read her books. Girls, if you're listening, have a book club with her books. Sparkle's a good writer. Give her a chance.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I
I,
am very excited that you have gotten a book, that you're enjoying it. That means more
I
to me
am.
than anything in the world because I write for me and then I share it with everybody else. And when I share it with other people, that's when I know that I've done something special. Because you can please yourself, but when you please other people, it's really nice.
Look, Sparkles, I'm telling you right now, I read your book
Mhm.
and KF Johnson.
Mhm.
I would love to interview y'all two together one day. Like
That'll be
I'm gonna
fun.
make that happen
Okay.
because her book is like a sus- a suspense romance,
Mhm.
but she got you type, like a little bit of that exotic in there too.
Mhm. Mhm.
I would love
That would
to
be
interview
fun.
y'all
That
together.
would be
I am
really
going to
fun.
do that on the show. I'm going to make a week where we call it Mitch and Match Week, where I'm going to have Arthurs come on together. I'm going to have y'all two together.
I can't wait. I think it would be
Yes.
amazing.
Yes,
Amazing.
because when I was reading y'all's book at the same time. So one
Mhm.
day I would read some of her book, the next day I would read some of your book, and I was just like, these two ladies got to talk because their books going in, and y'all have some like good similarities of how y'all keep me captured,
Well, I'm gonna have to get her
and
book then. I
yes,
really,
and
because now you're turning
how
me on. I'm like, okay, so
hers,
let me hear. Well, not
yes.
turning me on, putting me on.
Now,
Because I'm like, oh, maybe I might want to see what she's doing.
because what I like about both of y'all's book is, as soon as I read it, it's going in. And
Mhm.
when I say going in, I'm not talking about sexual people, but I'm talking about they're
The
giving
action
me, as
begins
soon
as
as
you
I'm
open the book.
reading the
Hmm.
first page.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
love that about both of you two already.
Well,
So as
you
soon
know
as I'm
what? I
reading
would be
it,
so
you
glad
got
and
me.
honored to do another interview with her, and I'm sure she's going to teach me a few things, and I can't wait to have that happen as
Yeah.
well.
But I love it because even though y'all have some similarities, you're different genre. Because she
Hmm.
is a romance and suspense, and
Hmm.
you're exotic romance.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm just saying, no, that's coming. Okay.
I'm excited. I'm
We're
excited
about
to
to
do
do
that.
some more personal questions with Sparkles. So if you want to see that, then please stay tuned for part two and watch it. And please make sure you like and subscribe at the bottom of the
Like,
screen.
subscribe. Like,
Yes,
subscribe.
like and subscribe, because in December, all the people who subscribe, I'm going to be doing a raffle to celebrate Black Girls Inc. and giving away wine glasses with our brand on it. So
And one
if
of
you
my
want to,
books. And one of my
yeah, okay,
books.
and one of your books. So if you want to get in that, make sure you like and subscribe at the bottom.
There you go.
All right, stay tuned for part two. Black Girls Inc.